Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm looking at the Arizona Cardinals after they just signed cornerback Malcolm Butler. But before getting to that topic, question for those of you viewing. Typically we do a fact-based question on the channel, but today I'm looking at an opinionated and kind of a funny question for you viewers out there. Who do you think would win in a fight? The newly acquired defensive end J.J. Watt for the Arizona Cardinals or Rob Gronkowski? Two absolute units and mutants at their position in the football game. Who would win in that fight? Comment down below and I'll reveal my pick at the end. But getting into this topic in all seriousness, I do really like this move by the Arizona Cardinals. I myself am not an Arizona Cardinals fan by any means, but I do really like what they're putting together there in Arizona. A couple moves they have made this year are kind of risky. It's a wild card play, but there's a lot of upside to them. J.J. Watt, he used to be one of the best defensive players of or in his prime, he was arguably one of the best defensive players of all time. And now you're paying him $15-16 million, and he's definitely in the back half of his career. AJ Green, we don't know what he's going to be. He's been injury prone, he's been inconsistent, and you're paying him a decent amount of money, but he has the upside of being the type of receiver he was in his prime day to being a top 5 receiver in the league. Same thing now with Malcolm Butler. Absolutely, I think Malcolm Butler, no matter at what point in his career, he's always been his stocks are always been boosted up just a little bit because of that interception in the Super Bowl. He's not the absolute lockdown corner he sought out to be. I think he's really upped his stocks, like I said, because of that recency bias of him making that pick, but not to say he is not a good corner. But like a few of those moves, Malcolm Butler, J.J. Watt, AJ Green, you're really banking on what these guys used to be, but I'm not saying it won't work out. I mean, look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past year. They built success on bringing guys back and hoping they could crank out one more year what they used to be. Tom Brady's at the end of his career. Rob Gronkowski came back. Antonio Brown came in. Ndamukong Suh's old. So really, those old guys still pull it off and put it together. And I see the Cardinals are kind of doing a similar thing, and I'm really fond of it because I think it could pan out. Looking at what the Cardinals got outside of Malcolm Butler, you have a leadership player in your secondary in Budda Baker. I like Malcolm Butler coming in because the Cardinals don't really need any more age on that team, but they do have a great combination of older players and veterans that have experience and younger players such as Budda Baker, Kyler Murray, Isaiah Simmons. Those are all relatively young guys. And then you got older guys, like I said, J.J. Watt, AJ Green, Malcolm Butler. But the one thing Malcolm Butler provides outside of his age is the type of experience he has. He doesn't just have regular season NFL experience that Patrick Peterson brought to that secondary to teach those guys. He has playoff experience and Super Bowl experience, and that is some type of leadership this Cardinals team needs. J.J. Watt, great player. He's gone to the playoffs before, but he's never went on deep into the playoffs to win that Super Bowl. Malcolm Butler, he's been there, and he knows how things work. I'm not saying he's going to be the leader of this defense, and I'm not saying he'll even be the number one guy in their secondary, but I just think on this 1-year prove-it deal, the Cardinals, the upside and risk-to-reward ratio is definitely in their favor. I mean, looking at that defense, you now got Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt creating a pass rush and holding down that defensive line. You got Budda Baker and Malcolm Butler holding things up in the secondary, and then you got a linebacker core held together by Jordan Hicks and Isaiah Simmons, Twinkle Toes. I'm a fan of him. So overall, this Cardinals defense isn't top tier in the NFL. It's not the best in the NFL, but the foundation is there, and the NFL draft is still to come, and there's plenty of NFL free agency left. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll sign Richard Sherman. Obviously, I don't think that will happen, but I'm just saying the Cardinals might not even be done with the moves they're making. And then looking on offense, I've already mentioned AJ Green, but you got a young stud quarterback in Kyler Murray. You got arguably the best receiver in the NFL, DeAndre Hopkins, and you got one of the receivers in AJ Green who's just trying to prove that he can be a top guy again. Then you got a speedy wideout in Christian Kirk. He's not top tier, but he's a good slot guy that can get open, especially when you have two great wideouts in DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green that'll pull some double coverage towards them. That can open up the field, create separation, and Christian Kirk will use his speed to get open. I really like the scheme that is possibly going to open up for this team on offense. Chase Edmonds will be the starting running back for them after kind of moving off of Kenyon Drake, not re-signing him. Cliff Kingsbury, the Cardinals coach, has utter faith in Chase Edmonds. I think he has the potential to get there, but to be the starter they want him to be. But we have to see it first. Action speaks louder than words. We have to see, can Chase Edmonds really step up and be the starting guy that the Cardinals can rely on? We will see. I think he will get there, but overall, we have to see it happen before we actually prove that it happens. So overall, I do think this Cardinals team, I feel like there isn't a reason they shouldn't make the playoffs. Last year, they started 5-2 and finished 8-8. Not a great finish by any means, but like I said, that was a young team. they're in a tough division, and they're going to be in one this year, especially with the Rams. I think they're the biggest threat in the NFC outside of the Buccaneers. The Seahawks, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I don't know if they'll go 12-4 again, but they're always going to be competitive with Russell Wilson on that team. And then, of course, the Niners will come back and be healthy. Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo, Raheem Mostert, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. That is a good offense when healthy. In the defense, we know how good that is. Like I said, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner holding it down in the linebacker position. NFC West is the toughest division of football, and I don't expect the Cardinals to win it, but I do think there being 3 wildcard spots now, total 7 teams to make the playoffs. I think Malcolm Butler could be the cherry on top to this defense that really helps push them to the playoffs. But I got to say, the NFL is always competitive. I mean, it's obviously full of professional athletes, but I feel like this is one of the few years where it's as good as the competition gets. I mean, if you look at the NFC, the Bucs, they're a playoff team. The Rams, a playoff team. Seahawks, Rams, Niners, Cardinals, that's already 6 teams. Then you got the Packers. Vikings on paper should be good. I don't know how Kirk Cousins will be. When you got Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, you signed Patrick Peterson. You have a good defense all around, coached by a well-coached defensive coach in Mike Zimmer. Bears don't like the Andy Dalton move, but if they make another move at quarterback, they have a great defense to back him up. I mean, the NFC East we kind of laugh at, but Cowboys are committed to Dak Prescott. Maybe he could pull something off like he did his rookie year. Washington, they just signed Curtis Samuel. They got a lethal wide receiver core. They got a good rookie running back in Antonio Gibson. Their defense is top tier in Chase Young, and they just signed William Jackson. And the Giants as well. I mean, they got Saquon Barkley. They signed Kenny Galladay. They signed Adoree Jackson. Overall, there's a lot of teams in the NFC that can be playoff teams. But when it comes down to it, it'll always boil down to how the quarterback plays. Look at the Giants. Can Daniel Jones actually do it? Everything on the Giants is good. But can Daniel Jones take him to the playoffs? Same thing with Washington. I like what they have, but can Ryan Fitzpatrick start a whole season and take his team to the playoffs? Same thing with the Bears. I like what they have on defense, and I even like their receiving core after they re-signed Allen Robinson, but Andy Dalton's not a playoff quarterback. Same thing with the Vikings. I'm a fan of Kirk Cousins, and I'm a fan of what the Vikings got, but Kirk Cousins doesn't win big games. So the Cardinals, you have most of what you need outside of the quarterback position. Can Kyler Murray take you there? I'm not a huge Kyler Murray fan in the long run because I don't know how his speed will, stay sustainable once he turns 33, 34. That's where those guys like Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, and Tom Brady can play forever because their accuracy and arm strength doesn't deteriorate like their speed in their legs. And Kyler Murray, he depends a lot on his legs. I'm not saying where he's like Lamar Jackson where he can't even throw the football, but I just am curious in the long run how he will do without that speed. But right now, when he's 23, 24, 25 years old, whatever he is, he will be just fine. And I think he has what it takes to take this team to the playoffs. And like I said, with the 15th or 16th overall pick in the NFL draft, I'm not sure which one. I believe it's the Cardinals. But what will they do there? Will they draft, an electric player that will take this defense or offense to the next level? Maybe they'll get lucky and a Devontae Smith from Alabama still around to help out their receiving core even more between A.J. Green, Smith, and DeAndre Hopkins. That might be the best receiving core in the NFL when healthy. Or can they get electric corners such as Caleb Farley or Patrick Surtain, or maybe a more realistic one in J.C. Horn? I don't know. There's a lot of electric players that could take this team to the next level. Or will they play it safe and just help out protecting Kyler Murray? Maybe go with Christian Darrisaw, an offensive tackle, or Elijah Vera Tucker, or Rashawn Slater, whoever's around at their pick. Either way, they need to execute this offseason. I'm not saying they aren't. I like the J.J. Watt signing. I like the A.J. Green signing. I like the Malcolm Butler signing. All these guys can really help out this team and, like I said, be the cherry on top that will take them to the playoffs. But you still have to execute all parts in the NFL offseason, and the draft is one of them. I'm excited to see what they do there. And I do think this should be a playoff team, but it will not come easy. I do think they need to win at least 10 games. I mean, last year the Bears made it at 8-8, and the Cardinals got bumped out right at 8-8. But in the AFC, you saw the Dolphins made 10-6, and they got bumped out of the playoffs. I'm not saying the AFC is the NFC, but still, to play it safe, Cardinals fans and the Cardinals in general, you want 10 wins this year to at least guarantee a spot in the playoffs. Essentially, I think you'll get there if you get 10 wins. It won't come easy, but you have the roster and the talent, and now, I'm not saying Malcolm Butler has all the experience because a lot of these guys on the team are up there in age, but you have the important components you need to be a playoff team, and I think they want to make a push. Malcolm Butler, I think that was a great signing overall. No matter what, even if he isn't the top corner that could take away a DK Metcalf or Devontae Adams out of a football game, his mentorship, experience, and knowledge he can provide for the Cardinals will definitely be worth the value, and it's just a one-year prove-it deal. We'll see what happens. Maybe this team could be a playoff team and they'll re-sign him in the following years, but as of right now, I like it just because the risk-to-reward ratio is definitely in favor of the Cardinals, but we will see. Comment down below what you guys think. Do you think they'll make the playoffs? Do you like this signing by Malcolm Butler? Do you think the Cardinals are done in free agency in the draft? I could see them making one or two more moves. You know, there's Davion Clowney's and KJ Wright's and Geno Atkins out there in the world. Maybe they'll make more moves with that pass rush. I don't know. But overall, I'd love to see this Cardinals team make the playoffs because they have the roster to. Again, not a fan, but I don't want to see a team that has the talent fall short of their max potential. So overall, I hope the Cardinals go far and Kyler Murray is their guy. Comment down below what you think and who wins that fight, J.J. Watt or Robert Gronkowski. Personally, to me, I would have to go with J.J. Watt. But of course, leave your opinions below. Thanks for watching, guys. 2-minute warning.